Good morning and welcome to Morning Mistake. My name is Tony and today is Business Talk Friday. So here at Business Talk Friday, we ponder about the future and the potential of our world. We talk about everything that could be a future reality or things that are simply cool. And today on Business Talk Friday, we're going to talk about advances in medicine. And no, we're not going to talk about Theranos, but we are going to use Theranos stars. And if you don't know what a Theranos star is, it's a way to measure BS, and it looks something like this. And I'm going to use this to visualize my skepticism for these advancements. So for today's morning show, we're not going to talk about advancements that are 20 to 30 years in the future, like the immortal pill or the anti-age pill, but we are going to talk about, advancement that is closer to our doorstep. So the three medical advancements we're going to talk about today is the premature birth predicting, the gut pro pill, and the custom cancer vaccine. So even before we start, my Theranos senses are already tinkling, but let's jump into the first one. So the first advancement we're going to take a look at is the predicting of premature birth. And at this day and age, we are a lot better at handling premature birth. However, it's still a major problem, and if the doctor knew beforehand, they could actually prepare and hopefully it would go a lot smoother. So the problem is that in the US alone, around 500,000 babies are born preterm and 50 million babies are born prematurely every year worldwide. And it's the leading cause of death for children under 5. So how this new medical advancement works is that they take a blood sample from the mom, and in the blood they're able to tell if the mom is prone to give birth earlier. Because most of our genetic material live in our cell, but there's a small amount of cell-free material in our DNA and RNA that floats in our blood and actually comes from dying cells. So when a woman is pregnant, this material is filled with a mix of acids, the fetus, the placenta, and the mothers. Since we have gotten better at looking at the cell-free materials, doctors can now just use it to figure out if a woman will give birth prematurely just by looking at the mutation in the DNA. When it comes to RNA, it's a lot more complicated, but the too long didn't read is that the doctor can now spot fluctuation in the expression of 7 genes that they can single out as associated with preterm birth. So the best of all this is that the test will be fairly cheap, around $10, and it will be ready in 5 years time, so around 2024. If you are interested in this topic, I'll link some articles down below, and I really wanted to show you some footage of all this, but I guess that footage of women giving prematurely birth is not, the right for my viewers. So now to the best part, the Theranos score. And actually it ranks pretty low on the Theranos score because I think all this is really possible in the very near future. And to give it a score, I will give it 1 out of 5. Because I think the BS lies in, the price. But aside from that, I think all this is possible and, we will see it in the near future. The next medical advancement is a device that is a little bit cool and a little bit terrifying. And the terrifying part is that you actually have to swallow it. And what the device actually does is that it takes the footage of the digestive tract and even perform a biopsy. The current situation is that we don't have an easy way to screen for gut diseases, and this is especially true for children in third world countries. And this keeps millions of children in those poor countries from growing up properly. And here's a little footage of the device.
My name's Philip, I'm an electroengineer.
And my name is Mark, I'm a biological engineer.
And we've put together this system that can sense biomolecules in the gastrointestinal tract.
So the first phase is the biological phase, where we've engineered probiotic cells to sense biomarkers that might be associated with health or disease. And then we take those engineered cells and we deposit them into the device.
So once the cells are in the device, they're trapped underneath this semi-permeable membrane. And what the membrane does is keep the cells inside, but it allows the molecules that we want to sense to diffuse across and activate the cells. Then once the cells are activated, they start luminescing, and then we have a set of detectors underneath the wells that can detect that luminescence, and then a wireless transmitter that can send it outside the body to a user's cell phone.
Even though right now we're just at the prototype stage, we think it's a sort of platform technology. We demonstrated it with blood, but I think that as many synthetic biologists are kind of continuing to make different biosensors for different molecules, they could easily just slot into this device in a plug-and-play manner. So eventually the number of molecules you can sense can grow and grow and grow. And we also think that at one point in time, it might be something that someone could ingest, similar to when you go to the doctor, you get a blood test, they look at your blood chemistry or the level of certain biomolecules. This could enable looking at the molecules that are in your gut. And that could be important for managing or diagnosing a bunch of different diseases.
And on the electronic side, I mean, we've shown that we could make it reasonably small, and we think that with further engineering work, we would be able to reduce the size maybe by about 1/3 in terms of the volume to really help drive this towards potential clinical use.
As you have seen, this technology will be extremely helpful for kids in countries with poor condition. The pill will make it a lot easier to screen for EED, which is a common disease that prevents children from developing normally. Basically, the easy screening would help medical workers to know when to intervene and how to intervene. So what we have now for diagnosing and studying illness in the guts for such young children often requires anesthetics and inserting a tube called an endoscope, like down the throat. This is expensive, uncomfortable, and not practical in areas of the world where EED is prevalent. The device we have is smaller and also easier to get down, since it's like swallowing a pill, which is also why it's perfect use on children. The best part of this device is that they have already tested it on younger children. And as of now, 2019, they have already started testing on infants as well. As for my Theranos score, I'll give this 2 Theranos stars, and I really hope that this product will reach the children who needs it. But I'm a bit skeptical of when this product will actually reach the market, because it's a third world problem and not a first world problem, so the priority will be different. But I know a lot of hardworking people are working day and night to get this up and running. The last thing we're gonna talk about today is probably the most exciting one, if it works, and that is the custom cancer vaccine. Oh, my Theranos senses are tingling. So currently, conventional chemo takes a heavy toll on healthy cells, and they aren't always effective against tumors. We all probably know someone, whether that's a friend or family member, who have had chemo, and we know there's always side effects like a weakened immune system, pain, or much more. Cancer tumors are different from person to person, and even within the same person, the tumors can be different. So researchers, they began to compare the DNA of tumor cells with that of a healthy cell and with other tumor cells. These studies confirms that all cancer cells contains hundreds, if not thousands, of specific mutation, most of which are unique to each tumor. This is also the reason why the vaccines need to be custom made, and let's try to take a look at what the researchers have to say.
We're about to launch an innovative clinical trial looking at a personalized vaccine in patients with solid tumors. And what I mean by that is that for the first time, we're going to recognize that patients with cancer are unique in that every cancer has its own set of mutations and genetic level alterations.
The trial that we're going forward with now will use a personalized cancer vaccine. We're going to represent the mutations in the form of peptides, which are short pieces of proteins given with an adjuvant to stimulate the immune system, and then checkpoint blockade immunotherapy to allow it to reach its full power against the tumors. So the patient will receive a series of vaccines, injections under the arm, and then they'll receive an infusion of checkpoint blockade drugs at a later time point.
So how this vaccine is supposed to work is that it has to trigger our own immune system to be able to identify the bad cells and tumors. This way, our body could possibly be able to get rid of the tumors without having to go through chemo or laser treatment, which would also reduce the damage to healthy cells. I really hope this will be a reality. It sounds really good, and this is a first world problem, so it will be prioritized, and cancer research is one of the most funded research in the world. As for my Theranos score, I have to rate this one a little bit higher, but I think that all revolutionary advancement needs to go pretty high on the scale. Like, you can be critical about it, but when they're right, they're the one that changed the world, and if not, I think Theranos. For now, I'll stay a bit skeptical. I'll give this one a 4 out of 5 Theranos stars, but I'll remain hopeful. And with this, I will conclude today's morning show. And if you like today's show, please give me a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel. And before we leave, are there any topics you want me to cover here on Business Talk Friday? Please let me know down below. And as always, thank you for watching.